A man returns from high school, not for friendship, but for something far darker. Simon and Robyn Callum, a married couple moving from Chicago to Los Angeles for a fresh start. Robyn sees the view and she kind of likes it. Simon seems romantic and draws a heart on the mirror. The couple looks happy. New house, new life, new chapter. As they're shopping for home items at a furniture store, a man shows up and tells Simon he knows him from high school. Gordon Mosley, Simon's old classmate. Simon gets excited and introduces his wife to him. Simon responds politely, but a bit detached. Robyn smiles and shakes his hand, but she notices Gordo seems a little off. Simon tells her to take his number and says they'll contact him soon. After a short, awkward chat, they part ways. A few days later, Robyn is taking a shower and hears something. When she checks, she finds the first gift. Simon comes home from work and sees it's a bottle of wine from Gordo. They don't know how he got their address. The next day, she visits the neighbor and the neighbor asks if she wants a baby. Robyn says they are trying and that she was pregnant once before, but it didn't have a happy ending and she'll talk about it another day. One afternoon, while she's cooking, Gordo unexpectedly shows up again, asking for Simon. Robyn thanks him for the wine. He hands her a list of plumbers, maids, gardeners, and gives glass cleaner, trying too hard to be helpful. Feeling polite, she invites him in to wait for Simon. At night, when Simon arrives, they have an awkward conversation. Gordo tells them Simon used to be class president, that he used to play games, and whatever he said would happen. Both Simon and Robyn seem uncomfortable, but they hide. When Simon asks about him, Gordo says he joined the military after school. After he leaves, they talk about how socially awkward he is. At a restaurant, Simon and his wife are introduced to his co-workers. Simon tells them she has a big firm, currently works online, and they are planning to start a family. When they return home, there's another gift on the door saying thank you for the dinner, and the gift is fish food. Then Simon mutters, "Gordo the weirdo. He used to be really strange in school." He crosses Gordo's name off the fridge list he wrote earlier and replaces it with weirdo. Again, while she is working, Gordo shows up and starts playing with the dog. She thanks him for the fish food. There is an awkward silence. Then she invites him in for a cup of tea. He fixes the television that was broken. She says she has work to do, and he takes out the trash to throw it in the kitchen bin. When he sees his name crossed out and replaced with weirdo, he walks out without saying a word. At night, the neighboring couple and others talk about Gordo, saying he is weird and awkward. Everyone thinks he is a creep. Robyn tells them he invited them for dinner and even said other couples were coming too, which seems strange. The neighbors tell them to be careful around him. Later, they go to his house and give him a bottle of wine as a gift. Gordo gives them a movie DVD in return. While pouring wine, Simon asks him about the other couples. Gordo says they canceled because they might be babysitting. Then Simon asks about his wife. Gordo says he doesn't have one and leaves the room, saying he needs to take a call. He disappears for several minutes. They are shocked that someone could just leave their house open. Then Simon says Gordo likes Robyn, telling her he visits often and brings gifts when Simon isn't home. Robyn denies it. They go to check the house, thinking something is off, and Robyn joins him. Simon finds women's dresses and assumes Gordo must be married. While they're snooping, Gordo returns, so they rush back to the couch and continue drinking casually. When Simon asks why he disappeared earlier, Gordo hesitates, then says his ex-wife called him and they had an argument. He didn't want them to hear the heated conversation, so he stepped away. Simon feels he is lying. He asks Robyn to wait outside in the car. Simon then tells Gordo not to come to their home again or do any creepy things. Robyn overhears. She steps outside and sees Gordo staring at her. When they try to leave, the main door is locked. Simon honks the horn, but nothing happens. He steps out of the car. Then Gordo finally opens the door. The next morning, Robyn goes jogging. When she returns, she finds something and calls Simon home. When he arrives, he sees the fish in the pond are dead and the dog is missing. He tells Robyn to wait and goes to Gordo's house. He knocks, sees a lady, and asks for her husband. She says her husband's name is Mike, and he shows up. They call the cops, who tell them the house wasn't Gordo's at all. It belonged to a wealthy couple who were away. Gordo had apparently used their house without permission, pretending it was his to impress them. Simon is mainly worried about the dog. The cops tell them that without proof, they can't question the neighbors, and they advise them to stay away from Gordo if possible. Robyn is printing lost dog banners when she hears something and discovers the kitchen tap running. The neighbor asks if she is scared and offers to help. Robyn goes to use their bathroom. There, she finds a prescription bottle of tranquilizers, something like Valium or Xanax. At night, when Simon is sleeping, she wakes up and goes to another room. She pulls out the pills and takes one. Again, she hears something. She tries to wake Simon, but he is in deep sleep. She walks quietly through the house. Suddenly, Suddenly, the dog barks at her. She gets scared, then immediately opens the door joyfully when she sees the dog. They feed the dog. Simon says it was Gordo. He's messing with them. When she returns from jogging, she collects some letters and finds one from Gordo. It's short, calm, and terrifying. Gordo writes, "See, you're done with me now. You don't have to worry anymore. It's all over." Then he adds, "Bygones be bygones." On the surface, it sounds like forgiveness, as if Gordo is finally letting go. But the truth is darker. Robyn asks Simon what it means. Simon confesses that he and Gordo weren't really friends. At night, she can't sleep. She takes a shower and hears something. She calls Simon but gets no answer. She wipes the glass and sees Gordon. It's her nightmare. She breathes deeply. She keeps thinking about that nightmare during the day. Robyn drinks juice and starts cutting apples. Again, she hears something. She spills the juice but doesn't care because she's scared. She walks to another room, then suddenly feels unwell and collapses. The camera shows someone else stepping into the spilled juice and walking toward her. When she wakes up, she goes to the kitchen. Simon talks about his colleague, but she seems uninterested. He asks about the medicine. She says she feels scared during the day and even fainted. He says she fainted because of the pills she took, but she screams, saying she feels unsafe because of Gordo, and tells Simon to apologize to him. He gets angry and says it's already over. Then he comes closer, throws the pills away, and tells her everything will be okay. Time will heal her. He takes her to visit his friends and buys her new clothes. He brings home a Christmas tree and decorates it. She gives him a gift. She is pregnant. He becomes very happy. Robyn and her neighbor are buying clothes at a store when the neighbor tells her someone is secretly watching her. She walks out and sees it as Gordon. Simon says goodbye to his mom and sister, but Robyn is lost in her thoughts. She asks Simon's sister about Gordo. She tells her Gordo was found with another guy and got bullied by other kids. Simon and his friend Greg found him and helped him. Robyn looks at the letter again and searches what bygones be bygones really means. When Simon comes home, she hides the letter behind her back. She feeds him and waits for him to leave for work. After he leaves, she opens Simon's drawer. She finds documents about Gordo. She shows them to the neighbor and feels disappointed Simon ran a background check without telling her. She says she can't ask her husband about this, but wants the truth. She looks up Greg's profile and finds out he is a chiropractor. She decides to meet him. When her turn comes, she goes in and says she is there to ask about Gordo. She shows him the letter and asks what really happened back then. Greg tells her it was all a lie. Simon made everything up. Gordo wasn't gay. Simon was a bully, and he ruined Gordo's life. That lie destroyed Gordo's reputation. He was bullied, beaten, and eventually pulled out of school. Gordo's father was so ashamed that he nearly killed him. Robyn is shattered to learn what kind of person her husband truly is. Simon is talking to his friend when she enters. After the friend leaves, he gets frustrated that she searched for the truth behind his back. Robyn tells him what he did was horrible and that Gordo nearly got killed because of him. Simon says it's the past. Everything is done and Gordo should move on. He refuses to apologize. He says no bully comes the next day asking for forgiveness. Robyn snaps at him, saying he is a bully, still is, and he needs to apologize. She keeps thinking about it. Simon tells her he will contact Gordo and apologize. She says she never truly knew what kind of man he was. Simon tracks Gordo down. Simon approaches him in a parking lot and awkwardly tries to apologize, but Gordo doesn't accept it. Instead, he says, "You can't just say sorry and make everything right." He also says he's done with his past, but the past isn't done with Simon. Simon asks what he means. Gordo is loading things into his trunk, but Simon grabs him, throws the stuff aside, and slams him to the ground. In truth, Simon's apology was never genuine. When he saw Gordo wouldn't accept it, his real personality came out: arrogant, dismissive, and cruel. Later, when Simon comes back home, he lies to Robyn. Instead of admitting Gordo refused the apology, Simon twists the story to make himself look good and Gordo look pitiful. That's when the truth is revealed. Simon's apology was never real. It wasn't about forgiveness. It was about his ego. He's still the same bully from high school. Simon and Robyn are with coworkers. One of Simon's friends congratulates him on his promotion. Everyone seems happy. Simon talks about loving his wife and their unborn child, when suddenly they hear a loud noise. Something seems to have hit their house. They think it's a branch at first, then turn toward the sound. Simon turns on the light and something breaks a window. He grabs a baseball bat and runs outside. Robyn says to call the police. Simon looks around but finds no one. Suddenly, the intruder tries to run past him. Simon grabs him by the neck. One of Simon's co-workers recognizes him. The intruder accuses Simon of sabotaging another co-worker to get ahead, costing him his job. He says someone sent an anonymous letter accusing him, and he thinks it must be Simon. Simon thinks it must be Gordo. The intruder begs Simon not to call the police. Simon tells his friends to let him go. Then Robyn goes into labor. After minutes of struggle, she finally gives birth to a baby boy. The nurse takes the baby away, and Simon follows. He sees the baby and feels happy. Then he gets a call from his boss telling him his promotion is gone. He says he will call back. He walks to Robyn, but she says she doesn't want to go home with him. He is devastated and leaves, saying saying they'll talk later. Driving home, frustrated, he finds a final gift on the door. Meanwhile, Gordo goes to the hospital with flowers. Robyn is asleep. Simon opens the bag. There are 3 numbered packages. In the first, he finds a key, and when he tests it, it matches their main door. In the second, there is a DVD labeled Play Me. It contains the audio of Simon and Robyn talking when they were in Gordo's fake house. At the same time, Robyn wakes up and sees Gordo in the hospital. She seems worried because Simon injured Gordo earlier. Gordo gives her flowers and congratulates her. In the third box, another DVD shows that Gordo had been spying on Robyn. On the final clip, when she fainted, it seems like Gordo assaulted her. Simon cries in pain, panics, and rushes out. He calls Robyn, but she doesn't pick up. Gordo asks Robyn whether the baby is a boy or a girl. She says a boy. He replies, "God rewards good people with good things." When Simon reaches the hospital, Robyn isn't there. He sees Gordo in the distance and runs after him, but Gordo escapes in an elevator. Simon rushes down the stairs and ends up in the parking lot. His phone rings. It's Gordo, watching from above. Gordo tells him he never apologized sincerely. He is still the same bully, just older and better at hiding it. Then Gordo tells him the baby might be his or might not be. He says Simon will never know whether it's Gordo's boy or Simon's, and that this is his final gift. He tells him to look at his son again and decide. Simon is broken. He goes to see the baby. He looks at him, confused and terrified. It's never confirmed whether Gordo assaulted Robyn. That is the psychological torment. A nurse closes the curtain, blocking Simon's view. Simon collapses in horror, crying. Gordo watches Simon through the glass window, holding his head. Then he walks away and removes the sling from his arm, revealing he was never injured. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Subscribe for more. Thank you.